You're listening to the Really Useful Podcast. This is the Tech Podcast for Technophobes from MakeUseOf.com. Welcome to the show. My name is Christian Corley and I'm joined this week by Ben Stegner. We are here to bring you the latest tech news that matters, things that actually affect you, such as security issues, new products, new features on your tech. And then we will have some tips and tricks. A little bit different this week, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Ben, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you? How's life been?
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you very much. It's nice to talk to you again after a few weeks. We will kick off with the news that the Grand Theft Auto 6 source code and videos demonstrating the game in action have been leaked following Rockstar Games being hacked. This is absolutely crazy. I think this is probably... I don't want to stick my neck out unnecessarily, but this feels like the biggest game pre-release hack since Half-Life 2 in 2003.
Yeah, I can't think of another one that would really come close, especially with GTA being such a big franchise and it having been so long since the last one came out, and it's kind of on everybody's mind. And this is the sort of game that gets a lot of press no matter what. I can't think of really any major leaks like this in the past 10 years, unless I'm forgetting something.
Yeah, I can't. I must be forgetting something if there is another one. Absolutely agree. It is absolutely huge. So basically, what's happened is that Rock Games was leaked over the week. Suffered a major leak over the weekend, basically, and the authenticity of the clips was doubted by some. But YouTube pulled the videos when Take-Two Interactive, who own Rockstar, made copyright claims on the videos. Rockstar later confirmed in a message posted to Twitter, "We recently suffered a network intrusion in which an unauthorized third party illegally accessed and downloaded confidential information from our systems, including early development footage for the next Grand Theft Auto. At this time, we do not anticipate any disruption to our live game services nor any long-term effect on the development of our ongoing projects. We are extremely disappointed to have any details of our next game shared with you all in this way. Our work on the next Grand Theft Auto game will continue as planned, and we remain as committed as ever to delivering an experience to you, our players, that truly exceeds your expectations. We will update everyone again soon, and of course we'll properly introduce you to this next game when it is ready. We want to thank everyone for their ongoing support through this situation." Take-Two has filed an 8K report of unscheduled material events or corporate events with the Securities and Exchange Commission to notify investors of the leak as well. So it sounds pretty serious.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal to have, a game like this in progress, like so much of it out there. It's not just like a video or two showing something in progress. It's source code and all this. I mean, that's a major blow. I mean, that really stinks for people that have been working on this game for years. And I mean, not only obviously is the studio having this just leaked to the public, but it's also, all this hard work. And then it's not even like you can show it when it's ready to go. It's, it's like watching an artist paint and like not seeing the product before it's done.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Interesting. I mentioned Half-Life 2. The leak of Half-Life 2 resulted in the final game being quite different to what was originally planned to be released. There was changes to characters and motivations and dialogues and settings and architecture within the game. Ben, what is your favorite Grand Theft Auto game?
I have actually barely played Grand Theft Auto. I got 5 when it came to PS4, and I played it for a couple hours and then just went to something else. So I have almost no experience with the series, so I can't really offer any insight, unfortunately. What about you?
Well, I've got a weird relationship with Grand Theft Auto because I don't seem to like any of the normal Grand Theft Autos. So the only ones I've played and have enjoyed and felt that I got something fun and enjoyable from are Grand Theft Auto Vice City, which is Grand Theft Auto 3, but it's got the whole Vice City, Miami Vice sort of Scarface stuff going on in it. and it's fun and it's bright and the soundtracks are fantastic, all the radio stations. And Grand Theft Auto 2 London Edition, which is simply the craziest top-down game you'll ever play. But I don't tend to, although I've played Grand Theft Auto 1, Grand Theft Auto 2 normal, I tried playing Grand Theft Auto 3, didn't enjoy it. Tried playing Grand Theft Auto 4 after completing Vice City, I didn't enjoy it. Tried Grand Theft Auto 5, didn't enjoy, gave up very shortly after starting it. I just don't seem to be able to get a foot on these sort of like very standardized Grand Theft Auto experiences. But when there's something quirky about it, I'm there for it, as they say.
Was the
Yeah.
London edition of 2 like, was that a totally different game, or was it like a expansion?
I think it's a separate game. I can't remember.
Okay.
It was a long time ago when I played it. I was actually looking at a video of it the other day, and probably yesterday. When, in fact, I shared something about the leak, and then I said like it will never be better than this game, and then I put in a video clip of Grand Theft Auto 2 London. The London edition version of Grand Theft Auto 2 is, I suppose it's like Vice City in that it kind of references movies and real events and things and brings them into the game as missions, as Vice City does. So only from a very UK-centric point of view. So you've got like legendary UK gangsters mentioned and legendary, doing a lot of heavy lifting there. And movies like Michael Caine's Italian Job and things like that. So it's a lot of fun as GTA games go. But anyway, we'll move on. So GTA 6 is, I mean, it'll probably be delayed based on that. But then again, they'd never given us a release date anyway, so shouldn't worry too much there. Snapchat for web is now available for everyone to use. You don't have to subscribe to Snapchat Plus in order to use the web version. It announced the rollout as part of its September the 15th fall feature update in the Snap newsroom. I think Snap about Snapchat, isn't it? It was previously announced as an exclusive for Snapchat Plus users, but it's changed how it's doing its premium stuff. And so Snapchat for web is now for anyone. I don't think I have a Snapchat account, Ben.
That would make 2 of us, because I forget when it was, but when it was fairly big, I thought, I'll sign up for it and kind of see what all the fuss is about. And I think I used it for like a week and just didn't find it enjoyable at all. I think that might have been before Instagram had stories, or right around then. So I found it like overwhelming to like constantly pull the app up and see what people were doing. But I've also never, like, I think we talked about this before. Like, I don't have an interest in messaging people on a social platform. Like, I'd rather message people on an app that's made for messaging, that has like useful features for that. So I'm just not someone that likes to share every moment of what I'm doing, I guess, because my life isn't that interesting. So I've never really found the appeal in Snapchat myself. But sounds like we're both like that.
Same here. It's no, I've just tried it out. It might be something that's restricted to the UK, to the US, because it doesn't seem to be working in the UK at the moment. It's web.snapchat.com. And then when you log in, you'll need to confirm your login attempt using the smartphone app. Web app version differs from the mobile app in several ways, including that while you can send snaps on the web platform, you can only view them through the mobile app. And the user interface is also different from the mobile version. I suppose it's a useful new way of using Snapchat.
I'm a fan of apps that you can access on both platforms, because I'm at my desk all day. Obviously, it's nice. Like, if somebody sends me a message somewhere, if I want to check something quickly, I don't have to fish my phone out and use that. It's nice to just be able to use the same device I'm on and use my keyboard and everything. I tried it here in the US. I tried the web.snapchat link, and I get a really ugly one-line connection failure error, so something must be messed up.
Yeah, connection failure, upstream connect error, or disconnect/reset before headers, reset reason, connection failure.
This doesn't look like I'm near a message that's supposed to be public, so...
No, they've obviously got some sort of server issue with that feature at the moment. But so that's not available to use at the moment, but it's supposed to be. So maybe by the time you hear this podcast, it will be ready to use. And our third tech news item is another security problem. Microsoft Edge has just served malicious ads to its users. The browser was caught showing bad ads in its newsfeed that directed people to a fake malware attack page. Oh no! It was spotted by Malware Bytes. This malicious ads, series of malicious ads on the newsfeed that look like regular articles at first glance, but when clicked will take you to a website that fakes a browser locker attack and asks you to call a phony tech support company to quote unquote fix the problem. That's no good in any sense, and certainly not when Microsoft has been working very hard to enhance its reputation with browsers. Internet Explorer, in its various incarnations and guises, was a horrible piece of software when it came to keeping your computers secure. And Microsoft Edge, since making the jump from its original code to the Google Chrome code, Microsoft Edge has been pretty reliable. So for this to happen is more than a bit embarrassing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm also reading about the details of this, and it's pretty interesting what they did. So the people that set this scam site up, they changed it to where the site reports itself differently depending on whether a human clicked on it or if it's like a bot looking at
Oh,
it.
wow.
So it says that's why. So if you're looking at your Edge home page, it comes up as an article like "Man finds a hidden cave," blah blah. It says "ad" on it, but that's because it reports itself to be a legitimate article to a bot, and then when you click on it and it knows it's a human, then it plays the tech support scam.
Yeah.
So that is interesting how it's not obviously the link didn't say click here because your computer's broken, like that makes it more dangerous because you think you're clicking on a cool story and you get a scam. So
yeah, that is clever.
thankfully it's at least a fake out scam like we've written about before and not like an actual ransomware site or something. It's just trying to scare you, but still not great, especially when it's being served to you on the homepage of the browser.
Absolutely. So you can't expect Microsoft to have dealt with this just yet, and they haven't. You basically need to be, if you're using Microsoft Edge, you need to be vigilant and look out for these ads. I could sit here and tell you to use Google Chrome or preferably Chromium or preferably Mozilla Firefox, but it's obviously it's entirely up to you which browser you use. But if you are using Microsoft Edge, then be vigilant and don't click on anything that looks like it might be unreliable, or just don't use Microsoft Edge. I mean, that's the only advice we can really give. If the listener's going to stay safe online and they're using Microsoft Edge with this potential risk here, that Microsoft needs to be auditing the way that it is processing ads and not using a bot for it. So our only recourse is to say don't use Microsoft Edge, isn't it, really?
And for now that we know this was an issue, maybe turn off the new tab page or the home page being this feed and just change your home page to Google or whatever site you go to the most so that you're not seeing this. And also, I mean, I'm from Malwarebytes right up on this. It looks like this was clearly marked as an ad, and 99 times out of 100, those junky ads you see on sites where it's like, man ate oranges every day for 10 days and this like all that crap. But that's almost always junk anyway, so just don't click that stuff.
Don't click the junk. Keep your hands off the junk. Okay, let's move on. This is really, really cool. You can now visit the past using Google Street View on your mobile device. And I really should have queued this up. Shall we try this? I don't even have a TARDIS noise. I should have a TARDIS noise. I don't have a TARDIS noise. I mean, I could do it. The nearest thing I've got is, this is from my other podcast, is this. Which is the door on the TARDIS, the time machine in Doctor Who. And that's from the class. It doesn't sound like that these days. That's an old 1960s sound effect there. But you can visit the past using Google Street View. It's a very cool thing. I've just tried it out. So it works in the UK as well. Okay, so what you can do, as part of the 15th anniversary celebration in May 2022, Google introduced time travel to the Maps app on iOS and Android, and you can now browse areas in Street View going all the way back to the first captures in 2007 on your phone. Now, the amusing thing about this is, for my location where I am right now, up until about 3 years ago, it was showing the 2007 captures. And I think the satellite view is still the 2007 capture as well. or from roughly that time. So like if I look at my front garden on Street View now, it's from like earlier this year or late last year. But if I look at it in satellite mode, it's like completely different. Now, as I say, I've just checked this. So it works in the UK on Android, so it probably works everywhere by now. You use Google Street View on a desktop by dragging a small yellow character and dropping it onto any highlighted roads. And it works similarly on mobile, but there are now more unique features that you can try like this. So like using the time travel feature on Google Maps on your phone is straightforward. You open the Google Maps app and search or browse for the location, and then you open it up so you're in Street View. You tap and hold on the screen, and then it will display the date, and then you can scroll down, and then where it says, say, I'm looking at one that says 11 months ago, you just tap where it says see more dates, and I get the option of looking at September 2021 or April 2009. And obviously you get different weather, different cars. The idea is, I mean, I suppose the optimum way of this working is if the views they match, you know. I'm not necessarily certain that's going to happen with everyone, but the one I'm looking at now, if it's not an exact match, it's only inches out, so that's quite cool.
Yeah, I do think this is really, really neat. I think this is like the coolest stuff that technology does in terms of like history and connecting us to the past. It's kind of like using the Wayback Machine. It's like fun to go back and see like what did Yahoo look like in 2000 or that sort of thing, like just for the fun of it. It's kind of like that with this too. Like, oh, go back to your childhood home and look how it changed over the last 15 years, or look at some landmark that was being built, or like an office building and how it evolved over the years. I think it's really, really cool. To have like 15 years of history like that, just to touch and look. This kind of reminds me, actually, I was thinking when you were saying that, I visited the Alamo a couple years ago when I was seeing some family in Texas, and I said how it would be cool how, like, if you've never been to the Alamo, like when in your head you think of it as like it's in the Wild West and it was this building they were defending, but it's in downtown San Antonio, Texas, and it's like on a city block. Like, it's like you're walking off of a busy street and the Alamo's just right there. So I said it'd be cool to like be able to compare, like put VR glasses on or whatever and see what it looked like when they were fighting the Battle of the Alamo compared to how it looks now. And actually, when you go in, there's a little exhibit where there's like a slider, and on one end is in the 1800s, on the other end is now, and you can slide back and forth, even like leaving it in the middle, and it shows you like both at once, and you can walk around with arrows on the screen and see what it looked like at the time. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really enjoying looking at this. I'm being a bit silly. I'm just looking at my home and just changing the angle very, very slightly, and then flipping between the two dates. But yeah, it's a really good feature. You should definitely check it out, listener. It is really, really good. And obviously, I mean, I've only got two dates to choose from, but depending on how many times the Google car has been near you, if you live I mean, I live in a suburban area that's kind of on the cusp of being as kind of the countryside, a kind of a bridge towards the countryside. So if you live in a city, then you're very likely to find that there's lots of examples of the Google Street View car having been in your neck of the woods, and lots of different days that you can choose from across the years. How many did you get, Ben?
You know what? I haven't actually looked yet because my phone was face down.
I
Let me
apologize.
take a quick look. That's okay. I should have been looking when you were, but I was trying to focus on what you were saying. Still not showing any dates on here. You tap the square and the little preview of Street View, right?
Going to Street View, so you're looking at a location,
Yeah.
and then what I did, I tapped it, and then I long tapped it where I was, and it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to hit the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hit the screen when it
No
was
problem.
on Street View.
Yeah,
Okay, let me
yeah.
go back and try where I live and try that again. Okay, whoops. So it has 5 years ago from my current location, and there's like a bunch of trees out front that aren't there anymore. So September 2016, and then September 2013 is the previous one, and it looks pretty similar to how it looks in that prior screenshot. So yeah, it doesn't look too different. The road looked a lot worse in 2013, though. I'll say that. A lot more patch jobs. Yeah, it's pretty cool though. It'd be cool to do one that has way more. You know, you can look at it every year and see how it evolved instead of just like two random dates. But yeah, that's super cool. I love applications of tech like this.
I'm just looking at the Hamleys store on Regent Street in London because I was down there a few months ago, and the Google car went past us, and this was Easter, and unfortunately, it still hasn't updated it, which is really annoying me because I'm expecting us to be on there, but we're not on there. I keep looking at it. It's February 2022, and obviously we were there in April, and I'm beginning to wonder whether they're kind of favouring the February date over the April date because it's quite unusual to go back so quickly. But then again, the thing is, it could have been en route to another part of London. That's the thing. So maybe we won't be, which would be disappointing.
I'm trying to think of somewhere near me that's like I know has undergone like construction or like a business changed their name or something to find a place that would have a lot of differences between years. My memory is failing me.
Well, that happens with age, so
Yeah.
I shouldn't worry about it too much. So that is the Google Street View looking into the past feature, the time travel feature on Android and iOS. And crikey, look at the time. We're really pushing things. Recommendations time, Ben, and I know you have something to recommend.
I do, yeah. So I was kind of scratching my head for something to recommend this week, and I'll recommend Splatoon 3 because I got that last Friday when it came out and been playing that. So yeah, Splatoon is a good time. If you're not familiar, Splatoon's main gameplay is that you play as an Inkling or an Octoling who is a kid that can transform into a squid or an octopus with one button press. And the core of the game is that you have different weapons where you can spray ink on the ground and the walls, and then when you turn into your squid or octo form, you can swim in your own ink. Um, so there's a big focus on multiplayer, and the main mode is Turf War, where it's a 3-minute battle to see which team can ink the most turf. So it's not about getting kills; it's just about, or splatting as the game calls it. It's just about covering the ground in your color, and whatever team has more at the end wins the game. Um, it's a really good time. Splatoon 3, if you've played the earlier ones, it's fairly similar to the prior entries. They didn't make any huge changes. But there's a lot of little quality of life features that make this a really good entry. It's a fun game for kids because I can see a kid having fun with it, even though it's not. How do I say this? Like it's not like you have to have really good aim to enjoy it. It's fun just to spray ink everywhere.
Okay.
There's a solid single player. Yeah, right. You don't have to like if you're not shooting anything, it's not fun. Like a lot of shooters are like that. Whereas
Yeah.
this game, you can just kind of have fun and spray around. There's a good single player mode that kind of teaches you different weapons and how to move around and stuff. And then there's a wave based survival called Salmon Run, where you and three teammates have to defeat bosses and collect the eggs they drop. And that's a lot of fun. So yeah, definitely a good game for kids, but I got into this series with Splatoon 2 when it came out about 5 years ago, and I've been enjoying it. So the matches are short, so it's a fun game to just jump into for a couple rounds. Because they're so short, you don't get as upset when you lose like you might with a game that takes longer. Yeah, just an all-around fun time. Great music too.
Did you say Salmon Run?
Yeah, Salmon Run it, that's what it's called.
Excellent. We'll give you a link to Splatoon 3 in the show notes. Okay, so I've had a bit of a strange week in terms of finding things to recommend because I haven't really watched an awful lot. So I'm going to give you two that you can choose from, Ben, which is going to be my recommendation for this week. Okay?
Okay. This is a tough call.
It might not be that tough. My first, the thing is, I've been messing around with emulation on my computer and stuff, and getting old games running, so that basically the end. I wanted to get a particular old game working, so I could on my Linux box, so I could then get it running on the Steam Deck reasonably well. Okay, and the game was Championship Manager 99-2000, which is a football management sim from the years I just described. Why would I want to play such an old management sim? Because the more recent versions pack too much fluff and nonsense and silliness into it. When I say silliness, I don't mean sort of John Cleese doing a funny walk sort of silliness. I'm talking about additional features that really don't add anything. They just slow the entire game experience down.
Okay.
And I don't really want
microtransactions, I'm sure.
No, it's more you get. Oh God, I'm gonna have to go into this now. So basically, there's an element of the Football Manager series, as it's called now, whereby you don't have to do this, but it's kind of like you get the impression playing the game that if you don't do it, it's frowned upon. You have to engage in virtual press conferences between games, before games, after games, and it just takes a lot of the interest and urgency out of the game itself. Of selecting your team, weighing, putting them against the other team, selecting the tactics, getting the tactics right, tweaking them as you play, making the substitutions, etc., etc. And then you've got this press conference nonsense that happens before and after every game, and sometimes in between games. And and I mean that last time I tried one of these games, I think it was the 2015 version, maybe 2017. The long and the short of it is, I don't bother with them anymore because I know that I enjoyed the older games better. So I tried getting one of these older games working on my system, and I wasn't relying on illegal downloaded ROMs. I went the whole hog and ripped an ISO from my copy of Championship Manager 99-2000, which is here, which you can hear right here. That's the jewel case for it. And then I got it running with Play on Linux, and using a very useful instruction video I found on YouTube for doing almost the same thing with a different version of the game using Play on Mac. I didn't actually know Play on Mac and Play on Linux were almost identical in terms of user interface, and they're related as well with their development team. So that was interesting, and I got it working. It works absolutely goddamn perfectly, and I'm absolutely delighted about it. So that's my first potential recommendation, is to get an old game working. My other one is Amazon Prime. I have a long wish list on Amazon Prime videos, and sometimes they come because I have a Prime subscription. Sometimes the videos are there, the movies are there, they're ready to watch because they're back on Prime that month or whatever. And other times you go to watch them and they're not back on Prime. And last night we chose a film. Now, it was a film that we nearly watched a couple of weeks ago, but we actually chose Man of Steel, and I discovered that Man of Steel is not a good film.
Yeah, I really hate that movie. I think it's so boring.
So I was very, very reluctant to give this a go, especially as it was not the original, because it's Total Recall, the 2012 version with Colin Farrell, which I gave a wide berth back in the day because it wasn't Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which I considered to be one of the best action films of the 90s. And I kind of feel a little bit bad that I didn't watch it at the time, because it's actually, whilst there are actual lines of dialogue lifted from the original movie, the actual setup is very different. There's, I don't want to spoil it. There's no Mars at all, basically. So there's a completely different scenario with, there's a lot of the same beats and stuff, but it's a kind of a reimagining of the original in a way that I'm surprised worked, because we also watched, this is going back a bit now, the RoboCop remake, which came out around the same time, which was absolutely appalling. But the Total Recall with Colin Farrell is actually quite good. So if you have Prime Video, it's free at the moment. So if you didn't watch it back in the day for the same reasons I gave you, or maybe you were distracted by the it was 2012, so maybe you thought the world was going to end, or you were watching the Olympics, I don't know, but it's worth checking out. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I have not actually seen the original versions of those movies or the ones you're talking about, so
Wow,
I guess I need to add those to my list. Yeah, I know I'm behind.
that's incredible. I can't believe you haven't seen Total Recall or RoboCop.
Yeah, there's a lot of big movies I haven't seen. I need to make a list and
They are
educate myself.
they are quite because they share a producer. They are very kind, or director, I beg your pardon. They are very sort of have a very unique view of the future, which is kind of, I guess, roughly speaking, is where we are now. So it's kind of, because they're both sort of late 80s, early 90s movies, and Paul Verhoeven had a very kind of particular view of how he felt the future was going to be, in terms of how everything from game shows to TV advertising and all those sorts of things might be in the future. So those two original movies are worth checking out. But as I say, the remake of Total Recall is also very good, and probably lends a bit more. It also borrows a bit more liberally from the source material, and it's stablemate from Philip K. Dick, the Blade Runner and the Blade Runner movie. It has some visual similarities to that. It could potentially take place in the same universe as a Blade Runner movie, whereas, oh God, I'm getting so geeky now, aren't I? Whereas the original Total Recall could not have done, basically.
Okay. I see. I'm looking at the Wikipedia article for it, and I see that they attempted to make a sequel of Total Recall, and that became Minority Report, which I
Yeah,
have seen and quite liked. So if it's like that, I think I would like it.
it's not bad, actually. There's actually, do you know what? The Minority Report and the Colin Farrell Total Recall are probably closer together in terms, not just in terms of when they were produced and everything, but in terms of tone and just the drive and the feeling, the atmosphere of the stories. They're a bit closer, I guess. But anyway, we'll end the nerd chat for this week. You've been listening to the really useful podcast, the tech podcast for technophobes and apparently people who like old movies. From makeuseof.com, my name is Christian Corley. He's Ben Stegner. If there's anything in this week's show that you found useful, please let us know or pass it on to the people that you think will benefit from it. We'll be back with a new show soon. Until then, it's goodbye from us.